When you look at the relationship of PRINCE2 to Agile-based change, PRINCE2 is a truly generic project management methodology. It looks at a high level at governance and management. Agile methods of change look at a type of project that is making principally IT-based change in a way that needs to be flexible and dynamic. Agile changes are focused on using language that's typically present in an Agile product development team. Language like sprints and product backlogs that you don't find in a generic methodology like PRINCE2. Some organisations have made significant investments in PRINCE2 because they do a range of projects. Some of them that are a lot more stable and some of them that are dynamic. Other organisations though are looking for a lighter way, a more specific way of governing groups of people that are making IT-based changes in an environment that isn't stable, that isn't predictive, that needs to be adaptive, needs to be flexible, needs to be responsive. So in terms of the direction organisations take when they're looking at a project management methodology for governance and management, some of the things that we often consider, have they made significant investments in a generic methodology like PRINCE2? What type of projects do they need to manage? If they're looking at making changes in an organisation that needs to be flexible, dynamic, responsive, an organisation that's making IT-based change in an environment that doesn't provide the certainty and stability that you require in predictive projects, they'll probably benefit from looking at an Agile governance and management method like Agile Project Management, AgilePM. But if they're looking for a more generic methodology, or if they've invested significantly in employing a framework like PRINCE2, PRINCE2 is by far the best known project management methodology, or they can look at flexibly adapting and tailoring PRINCE2 to govern Agile projects, and maybe there's some other way to get there anyway if they're using PRINCE2. But what I increasingly find is organisations, they're not necessarily after the rigour that's incorporated into PRINCE2. They're looking for something that's more specific to the kinds of IT-based change that they're making, and they often benefit from looking at an approach that's more specific to governing Agile-based projects. So when it comes to organisations selecting a methodology or an approach to invest in, it's really worthwhile thinking carefully about the kind of results that you need to create and the kind of changes that you need to make. If in the past you've experienced IT-based change where it's hard to be clear up front and then guarantee success, it's definitely worthwhile looking at Agile approaches. If you require change methods for projects that need to go beyond making flexible, light, dynamic change just through IT, you'll definitely benefit from looking at a more generic, better known governance and management methodology used across a broader range of industries like PRINCE2. It would be an interesting discussion piece to throw into some of the LinkedIn forums that I often have a look at where project management is concerned, because it can literally be like the argument around what's better, a cat or a dog. And in reality, they're different kinds of pets that are appropriate for different purposes, and they can be both okay. You know, there are many people in the project management space, particularly where the methodologies of project change are concerned, where they're this way or no way, and it's almost as partial as political parties during an election. It's either the Republican Party or the Democrats, and they're dyed in the wool, and they don't in fact see that in reality there are different strengths and weaknesses amongst many methodologies, and it pays to apply the principle that they do in medicine: diagnose before you prescribe, and then have the opportunity to pick from a variety of methodologies to make sure that you pick the most appropriate way of helping an organisation to go through a project-based change.